Okay, fantastic. There you go. Well, as I was saying, that today's an amazing day. Yes, beautiful. Because we're going to start the fourth species of counterpoint, which is the fourth out of fifth. We're getting nearer. We're getting nearer. Yeah. And also the fifth is the mixture of all the species. So that's why it's very, very near. Yeah. Now, the fourth species, as I was telling Georgios just now, is all about syncopation. Yes, it's an ornament actually, yes, and it's all about a note that is consonant with the cantus firmus, that is uh, played or composed or allocated on the weak beat of the bar, and is prolonged tie to the next bar, the strong metric position, strong beat, clashes with the cantus firmus as a dissonance, and because it clashes, it has to resolve into a consonance again, a step downward, either a tone or center, on the weak beat. So that is the definition of the syncopation in four species called suspension. Sometimes it doesn't clash. You can prolong a note. Yes, you can put a note on the weak beat, and you can prolong it, and it actually doesn't clash with the cantus firmus. Yes, it's not going to be. It can be a consonant. In that case, the leading of the voice, the march of the voice, is absolutely free. You can move around. You can lead. You can go backward. And a little bit of a difference between, because Georgios asked me this question, does it have to resolve downward? Always. Well, in strict counterpoint, yes, because you have suspensions, which were, they were the first, let's say, to be invented, that they have to resolve downwards. And then you have the retardations, which is the same case, yes, but they resolve upwards, yes. But the retardations, we're not going to use it just now. First of all, because we're going to do a little bit of, we're going to be purists for now, let's say. We're going to manage one problem at a time, let's say. Yeah. As I was saying that, why is that? Because, well, sorry, I skipped something. The retardation started in the Romantic period, quite late. Yeah. Well, quite late if you compare with last one, right? And also because the retardation, as it resolves upward, it creates, instead of when the suspension resolves downward, it creates a relaxation. Yeah, the retardation creates a little bit more of a tension. Yes, when it goes upward, and is a moment in music in which we're going to learn after that, because in counterpoint we're going to see that. Yes, we're going to see retardation, but not in strict counterpoint of species. It's a kind of a special moment in the piece. Yes, it's structurally. Yeah. So for now we're going to deal one problem at a time. We're going to see the suspension as it is. Yeah. Now let me go to there. The definition of four species. The four species studies the relationship between the counterpoint marching in syncopation against the cantus firmus. Thus, harmonic consonances arise in the weak beats. Yeah, harmonic consonances arise in the weak beats of the bar. The place from which the syncopation starts. Because we have three moments. The prolongation to the strong pulsation, the strong beat, of the following time or beat. Can be a consonance or a dissonance. If it is a consonance, the counterpoint will reach another consonance ascending or descending by downward or upward step, skip or leap. So you can do whatever you want. Yes, if by prolonging doesn't clash, you can move absolutely freely, up, down by step, up, down by leap, to the second, let's say, part of the beat, of the bar. Sorry. If the downbeat of the next beat is not consonant, a new ornament emerges, the suspension. Properly said, no? Yeah, proper. This type of retardation comprises three moments: preparation, the proper suspension, the moment of the clash, and the resolution. Preparation, it is the consonant sound to be prolonged against the cantus firmus. The suspension, when it is prolonged, a dissonance is produced against the new note, the cantus firmus. It is the suspension, sorry, I have to move you. It is the suspension itself, since it delays the entry of the consonants on the following beat. Resolution, the dissonant notes resolve. That is, it descends by step progression to a harmonic consonance. Preparation, weak beat, prolonged to a strong beat. Suspension itself demands a resolution on the weak beat again. In sum, the fourth species suspension occurs when, in a succession of equal beats, so the same duration as well. Careful with that. The same duration of beats. We observe the previous three steps. A note that arises as a consonant, another where the dissonance is generated, and a third that resolves into a consonance again. The interval nomenclature between the suspension's dissonance interval and its resolution is written with a hyphen, which is here, between both intervals, which indicates the direct correspondence between both. So you have preparation, yes, so you have preparation there. It's a little bit moved, but preparation is the C, let's say, a 6 against the counterpoint. Suspension, clashing, yeah, but prolonging, this is on the weak part of the bar, prolongs, clashes against the cantus firmus, D with C as a 7th, and then the third one is a resolution, creating by descending, yes, descending step, a 6 again, which is the resolution. Yeah, all clear up to now? Very good. Contrapuntal cadences, this is how we end. Yes, contrapuntal cadences are those cadences in which the suspension is located in a free counterpoint to bring a melody to an end. Thus, a melodic contrapuntal cadential sense arises. The cantus firmus melodically cadences when it reaches the final note by step progression to the tonic degree. So if you see again, it's even the same example as above. Yes, you need the supertonic on the cantus firmus going to the tonic, and then by the suspension from the 7th to the 6th, yes, we go to the leading note, the leading note goes to the tonic. And then if the cantus firmus is on the top, in the upper voice, we have to create a third against the cantus firmus, which classes as a second, downward resolve to a third, the leading note, and then both go to the tonic. That's it's formulaic. Yeah? The counterpoint employs a suspension whose first step is consonant to the third degree of the cantus firmus. So that one. Third degree, E in this case. Yeah? That consonant is generally the final note that is prolonged when the cantus firmus goes to the second degree of the scale. Let me move you, sorry. So the D here, or the D there, of the scale in the next beat to solve in the next degree of the scale and to abandon the syncopation scheme. That's the end. Of course, you're not going to keep on using syncopation. It concludes together with the cantus firmus on the last note in the final sound. Yeah, either octaves or unison. Generally speaking, when the cantus firmus is on the upper voice and you have a second, we don't usually use a knife. We usually use this formula because it sounds pretty nice. But this is just, you don't have to do it. Usually you use a distance of a second going to a third. Yeah. Harmonic relationships. The characteristics of the harmonic relations result in the second and third beats of the suspension, yes, are manifesting in the following manner. When I say you have the second and third beats is because we are talking about one beat, two beats, third beats. Yes, so second and third beats. These ones. So which kind of resolution, which kind of suspension you have, and where does it resolve? That is the harmonic relationship. For example, delay of the sixth by the seventh. This is to say that is the first thing that is indicated is a resolution. Yes, delay of the sixth by the seventh, which includes the real sound in that time. When I say real sound, is the sixth. So, in a nutshell, the most common when the counterpoint is in the upper voice and the cantus firmus in the lower voice are these. Yes, 6th by the 7th, 3rd by the 4th, 10th by the 11th, 13th by the 14th, which are exactly the same as the ones above, by the way, just compound. Yeah, even we tend to say this. Yes, suspension of the 6th by the 7th, suspension of the 3rd by the 4th. Yeah, those are the most common ones. Okay. The above relations are preferable since they resolve imperfect consonances such as the 6th and the 3rd, helping the melodic continuity or flow. So we have a couple of examples. You have in the first one, you see that you have an octave consonants clashing a 7th by its prolongation on the symmetric precision, resolving. For the 3, you have a 6 against the cantus firmus is prolonged, producing a 4th, resolving to a 3rd. Almost same case, in the case it's a 4th, but it's a compound, resolving to a 10th, which is a compound 3rd. Now, let's see this example. 9, yes, 8 by the 9. Yeah. Now, and this is a tritone, because it's not any fourth, this is a tritone, it's an augmented fourth. Yes, that resolves to the 3rd. For example, 5 presents the proper suspension of a tritone, B flat and E, tritone, so augmented fourth, that resolves according to the rules specified above. This is a dynamic interval. Yes, the tritone is a dynamic interval, it's restless, let's say, and therefore non-consonant. The treatment that the tritone receives in this scheme is purely linear. This criteria is one that prevails over the other considerations, such as, for example, the harmonic resolution that this interval category has. So basically, you resolve the tritone and you should resolve the tritone. Yeah? In this manner. Yeah? When the counterpoint is found in the lower voice, the relationships are the following. Suspension of the 3rd by the 2nd. suspension by the 10th to the 9th. Now, these are preferable to the following. Yes, due to suspension the 3rd by the 2nd, this one, and its compound. This is the one we like the most. These two are not very common. Yeah? Suspension the 5th to the 4th, and then the suspension of the 12th to the 11th, which is the same. Suspension of the octave by the 7th, for the same reason explained above. So, there's a reason why. Yeah? Regarding the 9th and the 7th. On the contrary, a sonic relationship between a hard dissonance such as a 9th and a 7th cannot be directed directly to an octave. Both sounds are very far from each other, so that the relationship can be perceived in a way similar to a 7th that goes to a 6th. Even the 7th or 9th, major minors, doesn't matter, that resolves in octaves are distant, although at a lower point in the sonic quality ratios than the others. If these relationships occur in musical discourse, several must appear. So, is the basically what they're saying, yes, is that if you have 7 to 8 here, yeah, or 4 to 5, 7 to 8, I think is the worst, yes. You have a dissonance, yes, then it's very far apart, a dissonance to a perfect consonant. If we put it like a gradient, like colors, yes, you see, have you ever done this gradient of colors from one to another one, from I don't know, red to yellow, and you have all the gradients. Yes, it's lighter, 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 lighter until you get the yellow. So you have dissonance, imperfect consonants, perfect consonants. So the transition, yes, that's why we put always 6 or thirds, because they are imperfect consonants. Yes, what he's trying to say that the transition, yes, is milder when you have dissonance, yeah, imperfect consonants, they go together, they're closer in ratio. When you go from a harsh dissonance, especially the major 7, the minor 9, to an open consonant, is too much of a it calls too much your attention. It's not very smooth. Yeah. So you basically they say try to avoid it unless says if these relationships occur in musical discourse, several must appear. The discourse is impregnated with these extreme sonorities that are related, thus creating its sound personality throughout that particular discourse. So, let's say you decide that you like it, yeah, in a piece, you can do it. But your discourse has to be impregnated with that. If not, it looks like an accident, yeah. But for now, again, we're going to be very, very purists, yes, and we're going to avoid, yeah, the 7 to the 8. And this is the first exercise. 4 to 5, we can use it. It's not, try to avoid it. Yes, if you can't, yeah, try to use it as less as possible. Yes, in this case, let's review the examples. You have, in the first example, you have a third against the cantus firmus that, by prolonging it produces a second to the cantus firmus, C and D, and that is when it resolves down, creating a third, creates a distance from the cantus firmus. You have the same thing here, all the same, the intervals are inverted, let's say. You have a 6, yes, E a C, E to C, and the femurs to the counterpoint, prolonged, with a ninth, resolving down to the 10th. Yeah? So, the same here with the 4th to the 5th, you have a 6, against the cantus firmus, prolonged, you have a 4th, when it opens up, it resolves a 5th. Yeah? And example 5, no, not for now. Yeah? Yeah, all clear? Good. Parallel fifths and octaves. Well, the term suspension means that the consonant harmonic relationship occurs when the prolongation of the syncopation resolves a sound that in turn may be the beginning of the next syncopation. So, the term suspension means that the consonant harmonic relationship occurs when the prolongation of the syncopation resolves. Yes, and you hear that note. That note is very important. Yes, a sound that in turn may be the beginning of the next syncopation, because the whole point of this is you keep tying the next note to the next note to the next note to the next note. That is the whole point of the first piece. Here it also works in this way. When a sound comes syncopated or tied from a previous beat and moves into the next, the harmonic relationship is heard in a diagonal sense, a product of the counterpoint movement and the cantus firmus. The diagonal listening is paramount to perceive these parallelisms that may occur. When there is a relationship of fifths that arise in weak beats on the resolution, let's say, these are understood as parallel fifths, like the octaves and their compounds. Yes, so parallel fifths, parallel octaves, and compounds, intervals. The parallel octaves and fifths produced in this manner are excluded since their sonic characteristics make the voice that produces them lose identity. And this is an example. Look, it is the case in which the counterpart relates fifth and sixth. So, the first example, yeah, you have, because in the four pieces, everything is kind of upside down, let's say. Usually, you say, well, never play a fifth or an octave in a strong metric position, first beat, because it's noticeable. In this case, it's the opposite. Then the one noticeable is the one in the weak beat, because this diagonal hearing, when you play the fourth pieces, the note that you perceive is the resolution. If you have, for example, you perceive the C with the G, the B flat with the F. So that, please avoid. Yeah? When you play, conversely, when you play the fifth, you hear this parallel sixth, which is absolutely fine. Yeah? So now the deal is always the cantus firmus against the note producing the weak beat on the resolution. Yes, that is the diagonal hearing that we say. Yeah. So the second example, this one, also uses fifth and sixth, where the sixths are located in the weak beats. Hence, the hearing relates the parallelism between the cantus firmus and counterpoint as parallelism of sixths. So, parallelism of sixths is more than fine, which can be repeated to the consecutive times explained in the second species chapter. So, that is, no more than 3 times in a row. We do not consider the second example as parallel fifths. So, first example, that please avoid. Yes? Second example, good. Special cases. If the discourse of the counterpoint reaches a blind spot, because something happens with these pieces. I must warn you. Yeah. Because continuing would produce some error, reaching unison by step progression, creating parallels or octaves, fifths, order compounds using the same imperfect interval more than 3 consecutive times, and there is no way to solve or correct these moments, the counterpoint leaves the syncopation for a brief moment and moves through the second species in order to relocate to return for the fourth species. Yes, when we reach a moment we call a blind spot, that you cannot continue because the difficult part of the fourth species is that you're always continuing, you're always syncopating. At some point, maybe not, I'm not saying that it will happen, but probably will happen. You just read like a blind spot. Yeah, you cannot. You're producing too many, imperfect consonances or parallelisms, or you need your melody to. I mean, or you're going down too much, and then you start crossing of the voices. A lot of things can happen. The abandonment of the second species syncopation must be very brief and must be found in more than one place in each exercise, like all simple exceptions. So if you're going to do it once, try to do it twice. Yeah. Examples. Now in this case, Georgios, do you have the piano?
I do.
Oh, that's great. Actually, can you play?
I know.
We'll see. That's a blind spot.
Yes.
You see? That's the blind spot. At some point,
Why?
exactly.
Why? Okay. Because you'll be too many sixths. I get. What is it?
You have G, E, A, F, F, D, E, C,
Yeah.
D, B,
Yeah.
and then carry on, eh? So this is we call the blind spot. Yes. At some point you have to interrupt the syncopation. Yeah. Can we start from here? From D a D? Ta! That's it. Final. Exactly. Very good. Thank you. So you see that you have two blind spots. Yes. You have the cadential closure. Usually you have the third note of the scale, the second, and the tonic, so median, supertonic, tonic on the cantifimus, and you have the suspension of the sixth by the seventh, a G to F in this case, resolution to the sixth, being the leading tone of the scale, in this case, the F major, resolution one semitone up. That is the cadential closure, yeah, formula. Now, it goes without saying that your exercises also have to have its own climax. And the climax, I strongly recommend do it by leap, not even skip, leap. Yes? take advantage either of a Blindspot or a resolution. Yes, a syncopation is not a proper syncopation. It's a syncopation, sorry, but not a suspension in which you can, let's say, jump. Yes, you can leap. So take advantage of that. Yeah. So if you see the rules of the fourth pieces are very simple. They're not complicated. Yeah. You can use certain uh, preferred resolutions, which is 6th by the 7th, yes, 3rd by the 4th. If the counterframe is on the lower voice, if the counterframe is on the upper voice, is 3rd by the 2nd, maybe 5th by the 4th. That's it. You have a cadence closure, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Now the rules are quite clear, yeah. The problem is to generate a discourse with this. Yes, because it's very easy to say, okay, I play the rules, don't. And then it sounds horrible. It sounds with no directionality, yes, with no absolutely linear, yes. So that is a challenge with this, yes. Even you can think the fourth pieces as the casting, let's say, of the second. Yeah? Because the only thing you can do, that you do, instead of doing one note and then the other one, the first note against the strong beat, you do this, you move it, you're creating the fourth piece. Yeah, so the first and the second pieces are included, as we saw in the third, and the fourth is derived from the second. Very neat process. Yes, they seem to relate to each other. Yeah. Anything that calls your attention here? Maybe not. Maybe yes.
Why is the climax?
So early? It's a very good question. I didn't do it, so I don't know. You have a clear climax and anticlimax here with the B flat. Yes, I mean if I have to analyze this, you see that they have kind of a middle range, which is F and E, F and D, and then something about an A here, yes, and then C and D. Sorry, C and B. Yes, so if I have to describe this, yes, I would say that that's a melody. It's very difficult. You will see why. To create a very convincing linear or melodic shape. Yeah. So I don't know exactly why. Yes. Although they are, the proportions in where exactly, that's kind of free. It's not immediate. The 6th bar after the 17th is a little bit, for me, a little bit irregular. We do know that preferably we use the climax on the golden number or the ratio. But, yeah, which is, yes, important is to create the climax very noticeable, but by leap. Because in these pieces, even if your note is the highest note, it is not noticeable. Yes. So you see, when you played it, it was quite, because first you interrupted. It was an interruption. You had the blind spot, interrupted the four pieces, and then the leap. So the climb was quite noticeable. Yes. So try to do that. Yeah. Now the in this case, in bar 9, yes, you have this suspension. Yes, 6 by the 7th. This is the case in which a note that is syncopated might be a consonant to the next note. In this case, an octave. In which case, yes, try to use that moment to rethink the rest of the exercise. The note that you put here has to be very well thought. Yeah, don't put you the fourth pieces makes you think like a chess player. Yes, it's not just that note. You have to think ahead 4 bars at least. Yes, ahead. When you're thinking about one note, think in 4 bars ahead. Yeah, because then you cannot stop. Right? That's the thing. Now, when the rules of the linear is exactly the same as in the second species. Actually, the second species. You have the cantus firmus on the lower voice. The upper voice, the free counterpoint, starts on the second beat, so it's the weak beat, as in the second species. The only thing that starts syncopation there, and you can use the octave or the fifth. When the cantus firmus is on the upper voice, you just have the octave. Yes, in the free counterpoint. Now the let me see if I have, well. Yes, bar 11. Why the blind spot? Why, in this case, we interrupted the fourth pieces? Is to sort out a problem. Imagine that if you prolong the B flat, what will happen? It is a flat, exactly. It is a flat.
Diminished fifth.
Exactly. So if you have E and B flat diminished fifth, you have to resolve down, and by resolving down, you have a fourth, another dissonance. E and A. Do you see, Laura? So you have to sort out problems. Yes, that's called a blind spot. So, okay, I can't. No, I can go on. Yeah, that's why you interrupt. Yes, and because this is a consonant, then you can do whatever you want. Yes, you cannot use dissonances in, yes, the fact that you're interrupting the fourth pieces and in a way using the second species doesn't allow you to use passing notes, because the passing note, the whole point of the passing note, it has to be resolved one tone up or one semitone up or down, and also because the function of the passing note, yes, has a very specific function in the second species, which is the directional motion, and we are not dealing with this in the fourth species, so no passing. Yes, all weak beat, all consonants. Yeah. Okay. Clear? I think I have another example. Give me 1 second. I have another example. Where is it? I wanted to show you. It's more or less the same, but the count to three is on the upper voice. I think it's this one. Okay. Let me show you something else. Go. Can you see? Georg, shall we play it again? Thank
you. Unison.
Yes. I dare you to see how you play on the piano. Are you sure? There you go. Exactly. Fourth piece it's really beautiful. It's very, very nice. There's no pardon? But it's exactly. I mean, what I do agree, and it's good to. That's why it's good to play it because as as it surprises you as a performer, it surprises the listener. So it's a very strong effect. That's why you cannot just stop. Yes, even momentarily the counterpoint, unless again, yes, you're facing a blind spot. Yes, which, okay, you can't yeah, you can do anything about it. So and also the unison is extremely beautiful to start. Yes. And there is a couple of things that let me see. In this case, Laura, can you spot any consonant syncopation? Consonant syncopation, no suspension.
I'm not too sure.
Let's say, Georgios, can you spot any consonant syncopation, not suspension? That is a very good way to spot them. Bar, then you see what Georgios said. When you have a skip or leap, you have your eyes is a very practical, very effective. Yes, exactly. Yours a way to spot consonances because otherwise, if you have a suspension, you have to do this. Look, if you have an it with an a fourth, you have to resolve step downward. You don't have any choice. Yeah. But if the note that is a consonant is prolonged and it doesn't clash, in this case you have DNF is a third, you can go anywhere. That's why it says look for skips or leaps. Yes, skip, but it's a leap. Yeah. Then and a leap, yeah, a skip. And in all of them, you have C and E third, G and D fifth. Now, I cannot stress this more. Yes, I cannot stress this enough. When you have these constant syncopations, again, use them wisely, very wisely. Yeah, and try to think from the note you are going to choose. Again, at least, at the very least 3 bars ahead. Yes, once you start, and it's kind of the role of a snowball. Yes, if you see more or less how you deal um, with this species is like that. Yeah. Now for the next lesson, we're going to do 2 counterpoints, 2 exercises. Yes, which is one on the upper voice, the cantus firmus, the lower voice, yeah, the other one. We're going to use the same cantus firmus of the previous species. It's the third, yeah. I'm sure you have the file, yeah. Using this. Now, the fourth species doesn't end here, yes, because you can also have, and this is much more interesting, by the way, it ends with the suspension in ternary meters, because this was suspension in binary meter, which is very straightforward. Ternary meter, yes, that's what we're going to do an exercise in binary, so you get you know how to deal with the species. And then you have another, yes, topic, which is suspension in ternary. And in ternary is, it's much more complicated, but it's much more fun. For reasons that you're going to see, it's a rhythmic problem. Yes, if you start thinking about it, you're going to see why am I saying this. Yeah, let me see. Let's think about it. Why not? We'll have a couple of minutes. Why would internal meter would be a problem? I mean, can we use as in binary the same rhythm of preparation, suspension and resolution all the time? Like in binary, we have even values. Can we use even values that will produce the same effect? Just think, this is kind of brain candy. If you don't know this, more than that. Imagine a turning 3 beats. You have the first problem. Where do you put the note that is prolonged? In the second beat or the third beat? If you put it in the second beat, you have 2 beats to finish the bar plus the prolongation. So you have your first problem there. And then how long is the resolution? It cannot be proportional to the preparation or the syncopation itself. So that is the issue. But I personally believe that syncopation or the fourth piece internally is even much more interesting. Yes, but that's why first get it in binary. Yes, I get the rules. Yes, and I will send you today the same thing that you saw. Yeah, but in written. Yeah.